Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to talk about National Ladder Safety Month, and we'd like to thank Jeff Tobin for liking and sharing the podcast. Historians say ladders can be traced back to ancient Egypt, and images of ladders have been found dating back around 10,000 years. One of the first folding step ladders was invented in 1862. One of the first patents for an extension ladder was in 1867.
Wow.
The American Ladder Institute was founded in 1947, and they're a non-profit trade association focused on advocating safe ladder use and the development of ladder safety standards. And they've been promoting National Ladder Safety Month since 2016. The CDC says about 500,000 people are treated for ladder-related injuries, and about 300 people die every year from ladder accidents.
Wow, that's crazy.
I read quite a few stories this week on ladder accidents. One was about a handyman who was hanging Christmas lights on a gutter. He reached out too far past the ladder and fell off the ladder. He hit the concrete driveway underneath him, causing several skull fractures, broken ribs, and he suffered a severe brain injury. A carpenter who was working on gutters set up an extension ladder against the gutter, and it wasn't level, so he got some stone pavers to level one side, and as he climbed up the ladder, the pavers moved, causing the ladder to tip over. It caused multiple injuries, and he died 16 days later.
Wow, terrible.
From his injuries, yeah. So they investigated the accident, and they found that he didn't have the right duty rating for the job. The ladder was overloaded, and the ladder wasn't leveled properly. A sheet metal worker who was working on a step ladder was only 5 feet off the ground, but his coworker said he had his feet on 2 different steps. He reached out, lost balance, and as the ladder tipped over, his feet got caught in the steps. He hit his head, and he died from the injuries. A carpenter working on a 6-foot step ladder lost his balance, fell, and hit his head, and he died 2 days later from his injuries.
I think a major problem with ladder accidents is people don't think they're that high up and they're not going to get seriously injured. Where if you fall and you hit your head from any height,
right,
you could die.
Yeah.
Also, hurt your legs, your ankles. It's a serious injury no matter what happens, right?
And I was reading a couple articles as you get older, how much more severe accidents are, even at a very low height. National Ladder Safety Month has 4 themes for 2022 to help prevent ladder accidents.
What's that?
Choose the right ladder for your project. Inspect and set up your ladder properly. Climb safely. And safety at the top of a ladder. The most common ladders are a step ladder, a platform ladder, an articulated ladder, an extension ladder, and a telescopic ladder. A step ladder stands up by itself. It forms an A shape when you open it up, and there are hinged spreaders, those folding metal pieces between the 2 sides, that lock in place so that your ladder is at the proper angle. The feet on a step ladder are designed to only be used when the ladder is fully open and on a flat surface. It needs level support for all 4 feet, and it's unsafe to use a step ladder partially open or closed and leaned against a wall,
right,
which a lot of people try to do, because the feet aren't designed to stand like that, and they can very easily slip out from underneath you and cause a fall. There are one-sided and two-sided step ladders. One-sided step ladders, the rungs or braces on the back side aren't designed to be stepped on. Two-sided ladders can be climbed on either side, and it can be used by 2 people at a time, which is pretty cool. But make sure you check the weight limit if you're working with 2 people on a step ladder.
It's not just the 2 people's weight, though. It's whatever they're carrying up a ladder.
Right, plus add anything you're hoisting up. Yeah, so if you've got,
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah, a 5-gallon bucket of paint or compound, it can get...
Or shingles.
Yeah, well, yeah, that can get heavy very quickly. The very top of a step ladder is called the cap, C-A-P. The top step just below the cap isn't designed to be used as a step. So standing on that top step or the cap changes the center of gravity, and the ladder can very easily become unstable and tip over to one side, especially if you're reaching out to one side.
Wow. What's the point of the cap?
So if you're
Does it have a purpose?
Well, if you're on that second step, it gives you something to grab onto, so you can balance yourself, or you can be more secure by holding on to the top cap.
And if you're not supposed to step on the top step, why does it look like the rest of the rungs?
That is odd. You would think they'd have a different shape.
Maybe spikes on it.
Right. Right. You would think it'd be different if they don't want you to use it.
Right.
Because I think a natural tendency is that top cap and that top step looks like a step that should be functional. The average size person will have about a 4-foot reach over the size of your step ladder. So if you have a 6-foot step ladder and you're on the second step from that top cap, you're going to have about a 10-foot reach. So if you plan on painting walls or working on ceiling fixtures in your home with 8-foot ceilings, you would want a 4-foot step ladder at least to reach the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
A platform ladder is a step ladder with a wide platform step, and it's usually the top step, although some ladders will have a couple platform areas.
This is designed to be stepped on?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and it's nice and wide. So you can, if you're standing in one place for a long time, it's a very comfortable type of step ladder. Many will have a rail, so you can grab onto that if you lose your balance or just for stability. And you can use both hands while you're on this because your foot is completely on the step, especially one with a wide platform. For a platform ladder, you're going to have about a 4-foot reach over the size of the ladder.
That depends on your size, though, doesn't it? I'm assuming an NBA player would have a bigger reach than I do at 5'2".
So the ladder companies are using 5'6" as the average height and a 12-inch reach. So you'd have to adjust your reach depending on your height and how far you can reach.
Well said.
Articulated or multi-position ladders have multiple sections with locking joints. So you can use the ladder like an extension ladder or lock it into an A shape to make a step ladder. Some you can fold up to work on stairs so they're offset, or you can create a scaffold or a workbench. The shapes or features can vary depending on the ladder, so you should check those out while you're shopping. And when you're shopping, compare the positions and the locking mechanisms.
All right.
Standard extension ladders come in 1, 2, or 3 sections. 2 sections are the most popular. The 2 sections adjust to the height you need. Extension ladders need to be supported against something and properly angled for safe use. And the highest rung to stand on for safety is the 4th rung down from the top.
So a rung is a step?
Right.
But the first 3 steps you're not supposed to step on?
Right. The top 3 you wouldn't want to step on because...
Which look exactly like the rest of the rungs?
Right, exactly. Because it would be top heavy and unstable, and it tips over much easier if you're too high on the ladder. With a step ladder, you're going to get a reach about 1 foot less than the size of the ladder. So a 20-foot extension ladder, for example, you're going to get about a 19-foot reach.
Okay.
Werner Ladders recommends if you're shopping for an extension ladder, it should be 7 to 10 feet longer than the highest support or contact point. So if you're going to be leaning your ladder against your house, what's the highest point you would lean the top of the ladder against? Or if you plan on getting onto your roof, how high is the gutter or the eave that you're going to be leaning it on? You need to have extra length for the overlap of the sections, the highest rung you can stand on, and then account for the angle of the ladder. Telescopic ladders have sections that extend to the height you need and they lock in place. And then you can collapse this down to a very small size.
How small?
So one that I looked at was a 12-foot, this is like an extension ladder, you have to lean it. It was a 12-foot ladder that closes down to 32 inches.
So it's easy to store, too.
Yeah, easy to store, easy to take with you if you need to use it for a project. It fits in the back seat or the trunk easily. I spoke to the ladder company Little Giant. They recommend inspecting the ladder you're going to be using before a project. On aluminum ladders, check for dents, cracks, or bent material which can weaken the ladder and make it unsafe. On fiberglass ladders, check for cracks, dents, fiberglass bloom, or splintering.
What's fiberglass bloom?
So if you're keeping your fiberglass ladder outside a lot, UV light damages the fiberglass and the fibers can start to lift up on the surfaces, and it doesn't really affect the strength, but it can make the fiberglass electrically conductive if it's wet.
That's not good.
It's interesting, huh? Check all the steps to make sure there are no cracks or damaged pieces. Check that the steps are free of grease, dirt, or anything else that could cause you to lose your footing. With a stepladder, check that the spreaders aren't damaged and they lock in the open position. Check that the joints between the steps and the side rails are all connected tightly. For an extension ladder, check that the sections slide and they lock securely to the rungs, the ropes and pulleys operate, and they're in good condition. Check the feet that they're secure and they rotate properly if you need to pivot them to set it into soil.
What do you mean about flipping up the feet?
So some extension ladders will have a serrated edge on the feet, so you can flip up the feet, and so now they're vertical. Well, they're going to be at like a 75-degree angle as you set up your ladder, but you can push that down into soil, and it's going to be a very secure footing for the extension ladder. And when you're setting up on soil, if it's uneven, you want to dig down on the high side to level it out, rather than using wood or bricks or something on the low side.
Okay.
When you're setting up a step ladder outside, all 4 feet should be on a level surface. If you're setting up on soft soil, you can use wide boards or plywood under the ladder to create a stable, level surface. You don't want to use bricks, wood, or any other object to try to raise the ladder. If it's too low, just get a taller ladder.
My grandfather, when he used to go on the roof,
Right.
used to take the step ladder out of the garage, put it on top of the picnic table, and then climb up on the ladder. My mom would freak out.
Yeah, sure.
What the heck are you doing? And he was scared of the extension ladder.
And he thought this was better.
This was much more stable. I think everything, the picnic table, the ladder, everything was older than I was at the time.
That's not ladder safety.
It is not ladder safety.
To safely lift a tall extension ladder, lay it on the ground and put the bottom of the ladder against the wall or the surface you're going to be using the ladder on, and then lift up the ladder from the top and work up the rungs to get it vertical, and then pull out the bottom of the ladder to about a 75-degree angle. For every 4 feet of height, the base should be 1 foot away from the wall or the contact point from the top of the ladder.
All right.
If you're leaning the ladder on a gutter or roof eave, the extension ladder needs to extend at least 3 feet above the area it's resting if you're climbing up and off the ladder. And you want to adjust the ladder so you aren't using the top 3 rungs to get on and off at the top. And that extra height is going to be your handhold.
Okay.
If you're moving material off the ladder to a roof, for example, brace or tie off the ladder near the base or use stakes and tie off the ladder at the top. If you're climbing on your roof and leaning your extension ladder on the gutter, there's a product called Lockjaw Ladder Grip. It's LOCK, capital JAW, and it secures the ladder to the gutter to keep it in place so it doesn't slide.
All right.
If you're using an extension ladder and the ground isn't level, dig down on the high side to level the feet. Some extension ladders, though, come with adjustable feet or extensions, so it's pretty easy to adjust each side. There's also a company called Level Lock. It's LEVE, capital LOK, and they have ladder levels that attach to the rails of an extension ladder, so you can adjust the feet up to 10 inches in 3/16 inch increments. So it's pretty cool. And it's also rated up to 375 pounds.
Fantastic.
OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, says a ladder needs a solid level base. They recommend using the heel test to see if the ground is solid enough.
What's that?
They say stop your heel on the ground. If it goes in more than an inch, the soil is too soft for a ladder.
Okay.
They recommend using plywood or particle board to make a firm, level base for the ladder. A 20-foot extension ladder that's not level at the bottom by only 3/4 of an inch will be out of plumb 14 inches at the top, causing the ladder to be very unstable. And they recommend not using an extension ladder in windy conditions and keep at least 10 feet away from power lines.
Good to know.
An accessory you can get for an extension ladder to make it more secure is a stabilizer bar. This attaches to the top of the extension ladder. It's U-shaped with pads on the ends, and it helps protect the surface you're leaning your ladder against. It gives wider support, and it also can help keep a ladder off aluminum gutters rather than crushing the gutter with an extension ladder. Little Giant says when you're climbing a ladder, make sure you always have 3 points of contact.
What does that mean?
2 feet and 1 hand on the ladder, or 2 hands and 1 foot. Keep your body near the center of the steps and always face the ladder when you're climbing. Use a tool belt to carry tools up and down the ladder. And when you're carrying tools or equipment, keep in mind the weight rating of the ladder you're using. They recommend wearing non-slip shoes and focus when you're descending the ladder, especially at night or when you're carrying items. A common ladder accident happens when you miss the bottom step as you're trying to get off a ladder.
Right, which can cause serious injury.
Right.
What are the weight limits?
A Type 1A has a rating of 300 pounds, a Type 1, 250 pounds, a Type 2, 225 pounds, and a Type 3, 200 pounds. Little Giant said a significant portion of ladder-related accidents occur from overreaching when you're at the top of the ladder.
Because you're too lazy to go down the ladder?
Right. They say definitely move the ladder rather than trying to overreach. And don't try to shift or move a ladder when you're on it. That can cause it to tip over.
Like scoot it?
Right. They say a good rule of thumb is keep your belt buckle between the rails of the ladder. And when you're thinking about purchasing a ladder and you're looking at the weight limits, just don't think about your weight. Think about what will you be doing eventually with this ladder. Will you be lifting items or moving items onto a roof, or will you be lending it to a friend or a relative? It's better to be safe with a higher rating than one that won't support the weight that you're trying to lift on the ladder.
Right.
If you're working with corded power tools while you're climbing on a ladder, don't use steel or aluminum ladders because they can be a shock hazard. Some top-rated ladder companies: Little Giant, it's Little, capital Giant. Louisville Ladder, Louisville, capital Ladder. Werner, Werner. Gorilla, Gorilla. Extend and Climb, it's XTEND, the plus sign, CLIMB, and Telesteps, TELESTEPS.
Do you have anything else to add?
We'd like to thank Little Giant for providing information for this episode, and you can check them out at littlegiantladders.com. Ladder accidents can happen very quickly and cause serious or deadly injuries, so make sure you use the right ladder for your project. You don't want to be tempted to stand on the top cap of a stepladder, for example. Always use a ladder on a level surface or create a level surface for your ladder. Don't overreach. Stay between the rails. Maintain 3 points of contact. Don't overload a ladder and inspect it before each use.
Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 15 on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow Cindy on Twitter at FixItCohost, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fixit Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.